Burke, Calderon, Campos, Chang, Chow, Chavez, David Chu, Canson Chu, Cooley, Cooper, Dababne, Daly, Daly, Dodd, Eggman, Frazier, Gaines, Gallagher, Christina Garcia, Eduardo Garcia, Gatto, Gibson, Gomez, Gonzalez, Gordon, Gray, Grove, Hadley, Harper, Hernandez, Holden, Irwin, Jones, Jones Sawyer, Kim, Lackey, Levine, Linder, Lopez, Lowe, Mainshine, Mathis, Mays, McCarty, Medina, Melendez, Mullen, Nazarian, Obernolte, O'Donnell, Olson, Patterson, Quirk, Rendon, Ridley Thomas, Rodriguez, Salas, Santiago, Steinorth, Stone, Thurman, Ting, Wagner, Waldron, Weber, Wilk, Williams, Wood, Madam Speaker.
Members, a quorum is present. A quorum is present. We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for the prayer. The day's prayer will be offered by our guest chaplain, Assemblywoman Brown. Assemblywoman Brown.
Thank you. Please bow your heads. O God, our Father, by your mercy and might, the world turns safely into darkness and returns again to light. We give unto your hands all our unfinished tasks, our unsolved problems, and our unfulfilled hopes, knowing that only that which you may bless will prosper. To your great love and protection, we commit each other and all those we love, knowing that you alone are our sure defender. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. We ask our guests and visitors to remain standing and join us for the flag salute. Please join Assemblymember Chow as he leads us in the pledge. Mr. Chow.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Thank you. You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Wednesday, February 24th, 2016. The Assembly met at 7 a.m. Honorable Brian Daly, Assemblymember, 1st District, presiding. Chief Clerk E. Dotson Wilson at the desk.
Mr. Holden moves and Ms. Waldron seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations of petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Moving to motions and resolutions, the absences for the day. For illness, Assemblymember David Chu. We are moving to procedural motions. Mr. Holden, you are recognized for your motions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 118 and allow Assembly members Achajian, Bonilla, Brown, Cooper, Gray, Gibson, and O'Donnell to have guests and photographers on the floor today.
Without objection, that request is granted.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 and allow Speaker Atkins and Assembly members Eggman, Frazier, Gaines, and Ridley Thomas to speak on adjourned memories today.
Without objection, that request is granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members, we have numerous guests with us in the Assembly today. We'd ask your cooperation and attention as we move through these various guest introductions. We're going to start with Ms. Bonilla, along with Ms. Brown. Ms. Bonilla, you are recognized at your desk for your guest introduction.
Thank you so very much. I think all of the women on the floor today know that the honor we have in serving in this chamber is not something that we earned for ourselves, but that we owe a debt of gratitude to our mother's generation and our grandmother's generations who went before us and who, in a very bold and extraordinary manner, stepped up at a critical time in our nation's history to fill a gap. And we are so honored today to have our own California, Rosie the Riveters here on our floor of our assembly, and I ask you to give your attention as we honor these extraordinary women who have gone before us and opened doors, broken ceilings, so that we as women today could be leaders just as they were leaders. I want to introduce this group, the original, real-life Rosie the Riveters. I was honored to recognize this group of women in 2014 as my District Women of the Year, and I'm very excited to have them here today. During World War II, these women, best known by the iconic image of a red bandana, blue shirt, and the phrase, "We can do it," were instrumental in the success of American war efforts. In unprecedented numbers, they took it upon themselves to enter the workforce in place of their husbands, taking care of their families, providing munitions for our military, and creating stability for the American economy. Without the strength, courage, and patriotism the Rosies demonstrated during World War II, women today may not have had the same rights and privileges that we enjoy. I'm deeply honored to stand here with the real-life Rosies. We recognize them as coming out of Contra Costa County, Richmond in particular, and we're so happy that they are here representing years of sacrifice, dedication, and above all, the tremendous capabilities of women. We can do it when we put our mind to it.
Ms. Brown, you are also recognized.
Thank you so much. Mr. Speaker, if I can have your attention. Rosie the Riveter is an important, iconic symbol of working women. This past month, we all had the honor of meeting Betty Reed Suskin. She was a woman who worked in the segregated Union Hall during World War II, as a file clerk. Today, I met Margaret Archie, who started out at the bottom of the ship, moved her way to the next portion of the ship, and because she almost fell, they decided to send her to school, and she went to riveting school, where she learned to weld those rivets on the ship. Today, 70% of mothers work. More than 40% of mothers are sole or primary breadwinners for their families, earning at least half of their family's income. An additional 22% are breadwinners, co-breadwinners, earning at least a quarter or more of their family's income. Rosie remains significant because they symbolize the invaluable role that women in America have played. Margaret, on the other hand, was able to work in that day and age and ended up buying her mother a house. I ask that this House join the Women's Caucus in honoring the Rosie the Riveters today. Thank you.
Mr. Thurman, you two are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I simply rise to welcome the Rosie the Riveters. Now, I'm honored that in Richmond we have the Rosie the Riveter World War II Homefront National Historic Park in the city where many of our Rosies have served, and just want to join with my colleagues from Contra Costa County and San Bernardino in welcoming our Rosie the Riveters here, and say thanks to Ms. Priscilla Elder, who is a constituent of mine, and thank them all for their hard work for our country and to our community. Welcome.
Mr. Ashajian has guests with us. Members, please give your attention to Mr. Ashajian as he welcomes his guests to the Assembly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to take a brief moment to recognize my friend, members of the National Organization for Rare Disorder, IPPF, and the Life Sciences Association in the rear of the chamber and up in the gallery. The group is here today to recognize Rare Disease Day in California with SCR 108 by Senator Manning, which is being taken up in the Senate today and here in the Assembly in the coming weeks. With over 30 million individuals affected by a rare condition, I want to applaud their efforts for bringing much-needed attention to this issue. I want to especially thank my constituent Andrea Vernea, who has fought tirelessly on behalf of her son Kate, who was diagnosed with a rare disease. She has committed herself to providing a great life for Kate and encourages other patients, medical professionals, and the general public to join together to focus on rare conditions. I want to thank for all that you have done. Please join me again in welcoming them to the Assembly floor.
Mr. Shajian's additional guests, as well as Mr. Gray's guests, are on their way to the Assembly. Members, we're going to go to Mr. Daly. Mr. Daly, for your guest introduction today. Members, please give your attention to Mr. Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to welcome the iLearn Academy from Meadow Vista in District 1. We are pleased to have the 7th and 8th grade class here visiting today along with their teachers and parents. And I understand that they are well known in their community for performing the Declaration of Independence song. Thank you for being here.
Mr. Gray, you are recognized from Mr. O'Donnell's desk for your special guest today in the Assembly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. Last year on Wednesday, November 4th, an 18-year-old student attacked and critically injured 4 individuals at the UC Merced campus and reminded us that disturbing acts of violence can strike any community, anytime in America. The attacker cornered nearly a dozen students on the second floor of the classroom and office building with an elaborate plan to obtain a police officer's weapon and use it to murder students and faculty. Without regard for their personal safety, an incredible group of people stood up for their friends, their community, and in many ways for all of us. Tyler Patton was one of the students trapped in the classroom by the attacker that day, and he is the first person we all have to thank. After the attacker injured one student, Tyler picked up a chair and made it clear that he wasn't going to back down without a fight. And it was then that another one of these incredible people entered the room. Byron Price heard screams coming from the classroom, but instead of running for safety, he put the responsibility to respond on his own shoulders and ran to meet the situation head on. On both sides confronted, the attacker lashed out and fled, injuring Byron and 2 others as he ran through the campus. But many more would have fallen victim that day if it were not for Brady Amaral. Brady sounded the alarm that an armed attacker was on campus and cleared the hallways and area around the building, leaving the attacker with few students to target with his weapon. And as the attacker grew desperate at the failure of his ultimate plan, he lunged at Officer Olaf Lopez, who did his duty and protected those he is sworn to serve. This incredible group of people made the difference that day, and as their families look down from the gallery, it is my honor and privilege to introduce Tyler Patton, Byron Price, Brady Amaral, and Olaf Lopez. Thank you for your strength, your courage, and your example. You embody what it means to be strong. UC Merced Bobcat strong.